Hello and welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I am Kayla Abraham. We begin in Myanmar, where the death toll from Cyclone Mocha has reached 145 5 days after the devastating storm burrowed through the country. Cyclone Mocha brought lashing rain and winds of 195 kilometers per hour to Myanmar and neighboring Bangladesh on Sunday, collapsing buildings and turning streets into rivers. The storm is the most powerful to hit the two countries in more than a decade, with churned-up villages, uprooted trees, and knocked out communications across much of Myanmar's Rakhine state. The region is home to hundreds of thousands of Rohingya who live in displacement camps following decades of ethnic conflict. A statement said altogether that 145 local people were killed during the cyclone. It added that it included 4 soldiers, 24 locals, and 117 Bengalis, using a pejorative term for the Rohingya. Widely viewed as interlopers from Bangladesh, Rohingya are denied citizenships and access to healthcare and require permission to travel outside of their townships. In neighboring Bangladesh, officials said that no one had died in the cyclone, which passed close to sprawling refugee camps that house almost 1 million Rohingya who fled a Myanmar military crackdown in 2017. The death toll from floods that have devastated Italy's northern region of Emilia-Romagna has risen to 13, with thousands of people forced from their homes and farms in an area known for its agriculture destroyed. Torrential rains devastated the eastern side of the region known as Romagna, with as many as 300 landslides, 23 overflowing rivers, some 400 roads damaged or destroyed, and 42 flooded municipalities. Emilia-Romagna President Stefano Bonaccini told reporters that they are facing a new earthquake, recalling the seismic events that struck the region in 2012, destroying thousands of homes. Bonaccini said, noting that since then, almost everything had been rebuilt. The experience showed that it can be done and everything will be rebuilt again. The death toll rose to 13 when 4 more bodies were found on Thursday. Italian media reported that 2 farmers in their 70s were among the latest victims of the floods. They say they may have been electrocuted while trying to remove a fridge inside a flooded house. Agricultural lobbyist Coderetti said that more than 5,000 farms were submerged with drowned animals and tens of thousands of hectares of vineyards, fruit trees, vegetables, and grain underwater. The floods are the latest in a series of extreme weather events that have hit Italy over the past year, as once exceptional disasters became a regular part of life. Bonaccini said, when we have 6 months of rain in 36 hours following where there had already been record rain 2 weeks ago, there is no territory that can hold out. Experts have warned such disasters are becoming the norm as a result of human-induced climate change. Three people were taken to the hospital after a fire broke out in a Singapore flat yesterday morning. The Singapore Civil Defense Force said it was alerted to the fire at Block 443C Fernvale Road at 6:20 a.m. The SCDF said 3 people from the affected units were rescued by firefighters and taken to Singapore General Hospital for smoke inhalation, adding that 3 others from a neighboring unit were also evacuated as a precautionary measure. About 50 other residents from the block had self-evacuated prior to SCDF's arrival. SCDF said the fire, which involved the contents of the living room of the 4th-story flat, was extinguished using a water jet. Preliminary investigations indicate that the fire had likely originated from the battery pack of a personal mobility device which was charging in the living room. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to participate in the Arab League Summit in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on Friday. Following the Arab League in Jeddah, the Ukrainian president will head to Japan to attend 49th G7 summit in Hiroshima. Zelensky's attendance at the G7 summit in Japan is expected to continue until Sunday. The exact arrival time of Zelensky has not been disclosed, as he was initially scheduled to arrive at the summit via a video on Sunday. However, there is a possibility of a last-minute schedule change for the Ukrainian president, who recently concluded a tour of several European countries. Russia has launched a new wave of overnight airstrikes on Ukraine early on Friday, setting ablaze several buildings in President Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown and seriously wounding a 64-year-old woman. Moscow has stepped up its campaign of long-range attacks in the last month, shifting from a winter tactic of targeting energy infrastructure with weekly strikes to much more regular attacks that often come during the night. The president's office said in a statement that several explosions occurred in the central Ukraine city of Kryvyi. The enemy hit a private industrial enterprise. Several buildings caught fire at once. Air raid sirens blared across the capital and most of the country as people slept. In Kiev, the night sky was lit up as air defenses searched for drones. The Ukrainian military said it had shot down 3 of 6 cruise missiles and 16 of 22 attack drones that were fired. The figures implied an unusually high proportion of the Russian missiles and drone attacks had not been intercepted. Ukrainian authorities offered little detail about what had been struck, except for the damage in Kryvyi, the steel-producing city where Zelensky grew up. A 45-year-old man also received light injuries. Kyiv attributes the recent increase in the frequency of airstrikes to Moscow's concerns about an expected Ukrainian counteroffensive aimed at recapturing land occupied by Russia in the south and east. Ukrainian authorities did not report hits on critical infrastructure and military facilities. Russia reports its air attacks as successful strikes on its intended targets. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is in Saudi Arabia on Friday to attend an Arab summit where he will rub shoulders with leaders who shunned him for years in a major policy shift opposed by the United States and other Western powers. Ostracized by most Arab states following the crackdown on protests against his rule in 2011 and the ensuing civil war that killed 350,000 people, his government's readmission to the bloc is a strong signal that Assad's isolation is ending. Obimi Assad was received by Deputy Governor of Mecca region Prince Badr bin Sultan and Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit as he arrived on Thursday in Jeddah, the host city. Assad, accompanied by several other Syrian officials, was then escorted to the reception hall of the royal terminal, where he had a brief exchange with Prince Badr and Abul Gheit. Giant portraits of Saudi Arabia's founder, King Abdulaziz, King Salman, and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman were hanging on the walls. Assad is expected to address the summit later on Friday along with other Arab leaders. At an Arab summit hosted by Qatar a decade ago, the Syrian opposition sat in Syria's seat. In 2018, Qatar's emir said the region could not tolerate a war criminal like Assad. Ahead of the summit, the United States reiterated its opposition to normalization of relations with Damascus. U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel told reporters in Washington that they did not believe that Syria should be afforded re-entry into the Arab League, adding sanctions should not be lifted. But Patel added that they have a number of shared objectives, such as bringing home Austin Tice, a former U.S. Marine and journalist who was kidnapped in Syria in 2012. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers introduced a bill last week intending to bar U.S. recognition of Assad as Syria's president and enhance Washington's ability to impose sanctions. Azerbaijani's Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov has noted the positive dynamics in the negotiation with Armenia, a peace treaty. This format was still expected at the end of last year, however, due to circumstances beyond the control of the participants in the meeting, it did not happen then. Bayramov said on Friday in Moscow at a meeting with his Russian counterpart, and I quote, "We highly appreciate the organization of this meeting and the emerging positive dynamics in the negotiation process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. I'm in quite close contact in May and such an opportunity." End quote. The Azerbaijani minister added that there will be an opportunity on bilateral basis to discuss a number of issues related to the post-conflict settlement between Azerbaijan and Armenia on various tracks, as well as to discuss the bilateral agenda between Azerbaijan and Russia. Speaking about cooperation with Russia, Bayramov noted that an Azerbaijani delegation of about 80 people headed by Deputy Prime Minister Shahin Mustafayev is currently in Kazan, which will hold talks with the Russian side, during which Baku and Moscow will consider a wide range of issues. To recall, a trilateral meeting of foreign ministers of Russia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, Sergey Lavrov, Ceyhun Bayramov, and Ararat Mirzoyan, will be held in Moscow on May 19. The junta has said that Myanmar police and troops are searching for 9 People's Defense Force members who were among 10 that escaped from a prison in Myanmar's Bago region on Friday. Its information group said that 9 men and 1 woman escaped from Tango prison. 1 was shot dead by guards. According to a People's Defense Force member who declined to be named, the jailbreak took place on Thursday afternoon after the prisoners were taken from their cells to go on trial. He said 10 prisoners were brought to court in the prison and they grabbed guns from the prison guards who came along with them and ran away. They breached the prison walls and fought against their pursuers. The PDF member confirmed that 1 prisoner was shot dead as the 2 sides exchanged fire. RFA asked to speak with the 9 prisoners still at liberty, but the Defense Force declined, citing the need to protect them. According to Tun Chi, a member of the former Political Prisoners Society, a prison guard was also believed to have been killed. He said some of the junta-affiliated PSOT were working together with the prison authorities to provide security, but we could say that this operation was successful. A sergeant was reportedly killed. A revolver and a G3 rifle were taken. Nearly 22,500 political activists have been arrested since the February 2021 coup, according to the Association for Political Prisoners, another group of former political prisoners operating from Thailand. More than 18,000 are still being held in prisons across Myanmar. An anti-terrorism court has approved pre-arrest bail till June 2 to Imran Khan in 3 terrorism cases filed against Pakistan's former prime minister in the wake of violence that erupted after his arrest on Friday. The 70-year-old Mr. Khan appeared at the Lahore Anti-Terrorism Court amid tight security after he received permission for his vehicle to enter the court premises. According to a court official, the ATC granted pre-arrest bail to the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief till June 2 in 3 terrorism cases, including the high-profile Jinnah House attack, and directed him to join the police investigation. The official said Khan assured the court that he would join the investigation. Earlier, Khan said everyone is condemning the attack on army installations and demanded a probe into it. When asked why he had not yet issued a statement condemning the attack on the top military officer's house in Lahore, he replied, and I quote, "I have already done so. Who is not condemning the attack on the Jinnah House, Lahore? Tell me one person in Pakistan who is not doing it," end quote. He said the ruling Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz-led coalition government who want to eliminate his PTI party from mainstream politics by pitting it against the Pakistan army. In a video link addressed from his Zaman Park residence on Wednesday, Khan said Pakistan is heading towards an imminent disaster and it may face disintegration. The arrest of Khan on May 9 by the paramilitary Pakistan Rangers at the Islamabad High Court premises triggered arrest in Pakistan. For the first time in Pakistan's history, the protesters stormed the army headquarters in Rawalpindi and also touched a Corps commander's house in Lahore. Police put the death toll in violent clashes to 10, while Khan's party claimed 40 of his workers lost their lives in the firing by security personnel. One person was fatally wounded and another hurt in a shooting at an Ohio automotive manufacturing plant on Thursday. The same day, 2 people were injured in a shooting at a Mississippi solar farm. Authorities said neither community appears to still be under threat, with the suspect in the Moraine, Ohio encounter dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound and a shooter in custody in Scott County, Mississippi. The incident offers yet more examples of how gun violence so often interrupts American life, including at workplaces not usually seen as violent. In the Ohio case, the male suspect entered a D-Max plant around 9 p.m. ATF police officer with a sniffing dog walks out at the industrial complex in the Harford County on Thursday, September 20, 2018. Authorities says multiple people have been shot in northeast Maryland in what the FBI is describing as an active shooter situation. In a 24-hour span in 2018, 3 ordinary places of business became danger zones. He said another victim suffered a gunshot wound and was taken to a hospital. The parish said the police are expected to provide an update on the incident on Friday morning. D-Max Limited is a subsidiary of General Motors, and the Moraine plant employs about 800 people. Earlier in the day, 2 people were injured in a shooting during a disagreement at the Pearl River Solar Park in Scott County, about an hour's drive east of Jackson. Deputies responding around 7 a.m. to a call about gunfire at the solar plant found 2 people shot, including one who appeared to be one of the possible shooters. The initial shooter is believed to be in custody and being treated for injuries at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. He said authorities suspect a fight broke out between the 2 and one had pulled and fired a gun. And that is a wrap on the world news on VOP TV. I am Kayla Abraham. Thanks for watching.